Ah, why is it not showing? Okay, whatever. We'll do it live. Check, check. All right. What's up? What's up? What's up? Coach Bruce in the studio. Sorry about the delay for those of you starting on the other streams, um, which is nobody. That's fine. So today I wanted to talk about a social media post that I happened across as I was, doing some engagement to try to, build my relationship, like for the ADHD space. I stumbled across this post that was talking about the possible link between a connection. I'm sorry, the possible link between ADHD and lying. It was suggesting that there might be a possible connection. It was actually suggesting that it was a misconception that ADHD people were more likely to be liars. Um, what really struck me is how aggravated the comment section was with the idea of ADHD people being called liars. Um, I thought this was really interesting because they were, for one, it was just a pot like a suggested possible connection, and really saying that it was unlikely, but I think it's actually true. I think that ADHD people are much more likely to be liars because they are adopting a different understanding of what it means to tell the truth. A lot of ADHD people see themselves as truth tellers, and I tell people how it is, and I'm not going to hold back how I feel about something, and that to me is the difference. It's about feelings, it's about emotion, it's about perspective, um, and about how we see things. That's not truth to me. That isn't, we have a lower social filter, so we're much more likely to tell, if we see somebody being wronged or we see somebody doing something we don't agree with, we're much more likely to say, hey, I don't like that. And which that is, I guess it can be adopted as a kind of truth. To me, that's just you expressing how you feel about something. That's not truth. To me, the truth lies in your struggles, like your relationship with those things, your relationship with perception, your relationship with with your feelings. The truth is, for me, it's like I struggle with with anger. Like that to me is that's truth. I struggle to control my anger whenever it starts to take hold. That is true. Saying like, that makes me angry when you do that is as a kind of truth. And sure, like you should tell people that, but that's not what it's talking about when it's talking about ADHD people lying. What I think it's talking about is that ADHD people are afraid to be rejected, so we often hide those struggles that we are going through. We hide the fact that we are not content, happy, feeling fulfilled, whatever, because we don't want to invite somebody is or invite sorry, we don't want to invite somebody into the maelstrom that is our emotions, perceptions, all those things, because we're afraid they won't accept us. And that's a lie. That is, to me, that is a lie. The masking is a lie. The hiding how we are really struggling with things, those are lies. So you like it's easy to say like I feel like that thing is bad. It's much harder to say I'm struggling with A, B, or C, and I want you to know that this is something that I struggle with on a regular basis. this is something like this is part of my struggle. Can you understand that? Can you still show up for me? Can you accept me? Whatever the ask is, because we're so afraid of being rejected. Rejection is something that is really, really hard for me specifically, but I think most ADHD people, suffer from a heightened level of sensitivity to rejection. It's called rejection sensitive dysphoria. That is the technical term for it. But I feel like even if you don't have that specific thing, we still struggle with being sensitive to rejection. And I think the biggest part of that is the internal dialogue we have whenever, before somebody even has a chance to reject us, we're already in our own heads starting to like pre-reject. Like it's like a pre-qualifying for a loan, but for rejection, it's like they're not going to understand. They don't want to have somebody like that in their lives. You're messing up. You're just going to mess up their lives further. This deep dark conversation about all the things that we don't do right, that we shouldn't bring somebody else into. So instead of giving them a chance to accept you or not, we just make the decision for them and decide not to tell them because they couldn't handle it. And that to me is lying. And I feel like that's a pretty common thing where we just don't want to hook people into our struggle, so we pretend like it doesn't exist until it becomes apparent to somebody else, which at some point it will, that you weren't being honest, that you were struggling with something. And what I found, and I've talked about this a lot, is I used to be like a massive liar. I was always lying because I was never actually fulfilled in my life. I didn't know what I was working towards. So I was always lying because that struggle was constantly there. And what I found was that eventually, when somebody spends enough time with you, they see that you're struggling, and then you don't tell them why, and they're confused because there's just something mismatched, and they can't figure it out because your actions are saying one thing, your face is saying one thing, your body language is saying one thing, but you're physically saying something else. And eventually that starts to take a toll on relationships, and those people get frustrated whenever they're trying to show up for you and you won't give them a chance. So I don't know, I just thought it was a really interesting sight to see all these people saying like, no, I keep it real, I'm always honest, like ADHD people always tell the truth. And it's like I agree that we definitely have a lowered social filter and are definitely more apt to call somebody out for doing something messed up. But that, to me, calling somebody out for doing something messed up is not the same as telling the truth. There's a lot of truth that has a lot to do with how we relate to the world, and I think that's the more important truth. Like so let's say there's levels of truth. I think the most important truth to be honest about is the things that are happening inside of you that you want to hide. Like anything that you have the desire to hide from other people is what is the thing that should be most important to you to have honesty about, because that's the thing that is creating the most friction in your life. So that is it for me today. I think that is it's a really thought invoking topic that I hope people will think more and more about, and will try to just be more honest about the struggles they're going through, because even if you do lose people along the way with that honesty, you're going to find a deeper level of satisfaction and fulfillment within yourself. And the people that you lose along the way, either you'll get them back once you get an equilibrium and a balance with who you are, or there are people who are never going to be there for you anyways, and it's okay that they're gone. um, yeah, that is that on that topic. But I think that if you haven't checked out my 9 steps for the ADHD dad to radically improve communication, this is another topic that would be served very well by checking that out, because communicating what's important to you is like, that is the opposite of lying. It's the opposite of keeping it hidden. And I think that this is what that's all about. So you can click the link in my bio and check that out. And I think it can be really helpful to people who are struggling with telling the truth about who they really are and the struggles that they're going through. That is it for me today. Please be yourself and love yourself.